Jack's 5, or Jack's 4.5, almost 5. When he was born by emergency C-section, and he had some breathing problems after that, so he was in the hospital for 3 weeks at the UConn Health Center, actually. They thought that maybe he wasn't neurologically quite normal. He was really irritable. He wasn't latching on very well to bottles, wasn't feeding very well. Okay. So they ran a bunch of tests. His electroencephalogram was abnormal, which pointed toward the possibility of having brain damage. If it is brain damage, it's very minor, and what could happen is he could develop normally, which he probably will, or he could end up being diagnosed with cerebral palsy down the road. Around 4 months old, he started falling behind on his milestones. I definitely knew that he wasn't developing normally. It was obvious that he wasn't doing anything he should have been. He hadn't started babbling, he hadn't started crawling. By the time he was a year old, they said he definitely has microcephaly, and they diagnosed him with cerebral palsy. He started having these episodes we thought might be seizures. It had to be after he was a year old. It's all kind of fuzzy, but I took videos of him and put them on YouTube with a comment of other parents with kids that have seizures. Could you tell me if you think these are seizures? Because there were these really weird episodes where he would just lose all the tone in his body and just kind of faint for a second and come right back. Someone emailed me who was a mother, and she said, have you ever gotten your son tested for Angelman syndrome? Because he looks like my daughter who has Angelman syndrome.
So Angelman syndrome in most cases arises from a deletion. A part of the chromosome is missing, so it's just a random error that occurs in nature. And the part that's missing, because there's a piece of the chromosome missing, there's also some genes that make proteins, which what we need to live, are missing.
His body isn't producing this protein that it needs.
And those missing proteins cause this Angelman syndrome, which is really characterized by a movement disorder. So the individuals, when they're young, the children have difficulty walking. They have what's called ataxia, so they kind of walk in a very shakily way. They also have, many of them have seizures. They also have disorders related to intellectual ability. In other words, they'll never speak but more than 5 words.
He doesn't speak, but he uses his voice a lot to communicate what he wants, and he uses a lot of facial expressions, and he's really animated. He's upset or something's happening that he doesn't like, he'll have like a sad face, like he has this little pouty lip thing that he does. He's started to do things where if we ask him a question and the answer is yes, he'll get excited and he'll smile. But if the answer is no, he'll just ignore us or scoot away. So he's starting to be able to communicate a little bit. I had to convince his pediatrician to order the tests for me because he didn't think that it would be possible to have a brain injury and Angelman syndrome, because he was assuming the brain injury thing was correct. And it was a big relief to me because he fit in so well. When we saw like other videos of kids and other pictures of kids, talked to other parents, he looked like these other kids, he moved like them. He finally, it was like everything made sense. Like he's like fit into this disorder. It was a big relief to me because when we thought he had cerebral palsy, it was like it would have been because of having brain damage, because of something that happened, and to me it was like he could have developed normally if things went differently. Right. And that was really painful to think that he was the way he was just because something happened. Knowing it's genetic, there's nothing that we could have done. He was like that from the moment he was conceived. Jack's a pretty happy guy. He's really social. He's always been interested in other people.
It seems like he can be sort of goal-oriented. You know, he'll see an object from across the room that he wants, or he'll see somebody, or, you know, recognize a face, and, you know, he'll go get it.
What happens when he gets it?
He explodes with laughter. You
Yeah.
know, he's just really happy when he gets something that he wants. You know, or especially if he sees someone, be it me or Sunshine or a friend or something like that, he'll grab you by the face and just like make loud noises at you and like smile at you.
He smiled early, laughed early, like earlier than typical kids even. And he's still that way. Jack really likes crinkly things. He loves plastic, so we have to be careful about leaving plastic out. He loves water. Bath time's like his favorite time of the day. He likes beads. He likes the beads on the wire or he likes to manipulate little parts on toys. It's a relief, and it's hard sometimes seeing older kids with it and adults with it, because I mean it's nice to know what to expect, but it's also difficult. It was especially difficult the first time we saw adults with it because some of them were so impaired. So it's a blessing and a curse, I think.
Cheat with it that, 100 calories of apple was the same as 100 calories of chips, kind of. So people choose chips. So now they did. Now fruit is free, essentially. Fruit and a lot of vegetables are free. And they just started incorporating a lot of fiber and